Awesome. Yeah, so thanks for joining me today. The first Solar Marketing AMA weekly call. It's going to be on at 10 a.m. Every Mountain Time, 10 a.m. every Wednesday. That's the plan. But yeah, thanks for joining me. And yeah, let's. I'll chuck it over to you guys first. And do you guys have any initial questions for me of where you guys are in marketing? You know, what you guys are seeing, that kind of stuff.
I'll go ahead and jump in. So, um, we are pretty much a brand new solar company here in North Idaho. I've partnered with somebody who's established who has a company in Oregon, and I'm kind of I'm running all the marketing here in North Idaho, and I've been running mainly Facebook, some Twitter, some LinkedIn, but it seems like Facebook is what gets the most traction. And then kind of looking at the next steps, like Google Ads, were kind of not knowing if that's kind of hearing both sides, whether that's worth it or not. So yeah, I'm pretty much fresh starting from the beginning and trying to create marketing videos, things like that. So yeah, I guess my biggest thing and hope is that just trying to figure out where to start first and prioritize my time from square one.
Yeah, sounds good. Are you targeting the residential sector or a bit of commercial, bit of both, or
Mostly residential, but but both as well.
okay? So basically, what I would suggest doing is Facebook ads is a really good place to start. Typically, you'll get a higher quantity of leads, but it's going to be lower quality when compared to Google Ads. Twitter and LinkedIn. LinkedIn's definitely more for the commercial space. You don't. I have run ads there for one residential company, and we turned it off. It wasn't getting the results compared to Google and Facebook ads. Definitely Facebook ads to start. It's going to be cheaper, cost per lead, but Google ads will have a higher quality because people are actually searching for solar rather than scrolling Facebook, looking at cat videos and that kind of stuff. They're actually invested by searching for solar. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense.
Perfect. Yeah. So typically with Facebook ads, you know, the States is it's a much more competitive area than say Canada or the UK, for example. But you should be looking somewhere in the ballpark of $20 to $30 cost per lead. $30 is more like the California area, like LA is incredibly competitive. I am, I believe I'm starting to run a Facebook ad campaign for Idaho. I think it's southern Idaho though. Facebook ads later this week. So I'll have a bit more kind of data hopefully next week, 2 weeks from now on average cost per lead from Facebook ads.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good
How
to
do
know.
you how do you find the quality from Facebook ads?
So I have not run actual ads that I've paid for. I have created marketing videos and posted that and just kind of, I'm posting it to my stuff and the business site.
Fair enough.
We're very much from the ground right now. So
Fair enough. Yeah, they're more so organic rather than paid metrics.
exactly.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. So I would definitely recommend the Facebook ads to start once you get into that paid. And if you've got, a presence on Facebook, if your page already does well organically, that typically does help um, the paid side of things too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, Google Ads can work as well, but yeah, it's going to be you're going to pay for what's called search intent. People are actually searching for solar, solar company near them, solar company in Idaho, for example. So you're really going to pay for that extra intent. People actually looking for a solar installation company.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, if you've got a smaller sales team, that can work, because you'll get, it's usually a little bit more expensive, like say like 20 to 30% more expensive on Google Ads versus Facebook. But if you've only got one, one setter, one sales person that's kind of calling everyone, it's pretty easy for Facebook ads to overrun them with lower quality leads if you're not careful. So yeah, just kind of keep that in check.
Okay, great to know.
Perfect. Any other questions from you, Brianna? Cool.
What about we tried out a lead generation, a lead gen company,
Mhm.
and that was pretty much just a complete waste. 80% of the phone numbers that we called were disconnected.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, that whole realm is completely new to me. Are there any like companies or anything like that seem like they're legitimate, or does it seem like it's kind of, I don't know if that's making sense, but
Yeah. The lead list kind of, it's a pretty big sales. Like if you go, like it's a pretty big sales community. There's a whole bunch of Facebook groups, especially targeting the US, for this. It's starting to come to Canada as well. People selling these lists of leads, and there's a few things wrong with it. There are good sellers out there. Like, I mean, not to promote myself or anything, but I do that because it's what people look for. It's not what I want to do, but it is what the market wants. But some questions you can ask is like, are they aged leads? Like, when did the lead actually fill out their form, or how did they get their lead? A lot of sellers will use what's called skip tracing. So it's basically just finding homeowner information that would potentially be a good fit for solar. They use like Google Maps to look at the roof space, are they south facing, etc., all that kind of stuff. And then they compile the homeowner information, but that homeowner hasn't expressed any interest whatsoever of getting solar. So super low lead quality. Typically, these lead lists will be resold from between 10 to 20 companies, like solar companies. So if you're the 20th company calling these leads, you're probably going to have a bad close rate. Yeah. And if they're age leads as well, people disconnect their phone numbers all the time. So that's what I'd be kind of asking any lead gen agency of, like, hey, how do you generate these leads? How do you pre-qualify them? Do you call them? Do you make sure that their contact information is good before you sell them? That kind of stuff, right? Yeah, it's kind of hard to spot some people because they are really good they're good salespeople. They're not good marketers, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Yeah. So I would, there's a whole bunch of Facebook groups out there. You could just jump in there and like, hey, is there a trusted seller? The issue with that is you'll get spammed. Your inbox will just be absolutely demolished with private message requests. So it's tough to know. There are decent sellers out there, but it's, if you're buying leads for under $10 per lead, age leads typically go for like $1 to $2 at most. So they do work, but you need like thousands and thousands of leads to kind of go through and sift through. So you basically need a call center in operation to kind of deal with that quantity to actually sell, right?
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. So if you were starting a solar company right now, how far down on the list would that be for priority for getting your first leads and all that?
Yeah, I honestly, like, it's very rare that I see a positive post in these groups. I am a part of it because I do offer that, but it's it's just low quality, right? It's very much just trying to sell, and they don't really care about the back end, like your bottom line. I would definitely start the referral, like try and get referrals, try and get Google reviews, try and get your name out there organically, like you're doing through the social platforms. I think that's really good. It will take time to get traction though. And then the lawn signs is a really good low cost way to kind of generate a bit more visibility for your business as well.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much.
No worries at all. Mikkel, do you have any questions for me, or just kind of listening? Did anything at all?
The Google stuff helped.
Yeah.
I guess, like Charter Morton's mostly a commercial company. Started the residential stuff a year ago now, just over a year for solar. But yeah, we just find it kind of, just seems like it's slowed down quite a bit since the grant in Canada here ended.
Yeah,
We're
definitely.
just trying to find a way to, without going door to door like kind of everybody else is doing here, how to get kind of more leads coming in.
Yeah, without that, like the Greener Homes grant, for those listening and not in Canada, the Greener Homes grant ended a couple of months ago. It is returning in 2025, but that's still a bit away, right? You need jobs now. Yeah, it's tough. I've seen it slow down for a lot of companies. A lot of companies are definitely hurting due to that funding running out, and it's a good 6 to 8 months before it's going to have a chance of being live again. Yeah, I think there's still a lot of people looking for solar. There is that the commercial rebate. You said you're more so in the commercial side of things. I'd be pushing that with content across, your socials, your ads, that kind of stuff as well. For the residential, it has slowed definitely. I see still a lot of a lot of companies doing fairly well. I think most companies have dipped in the residential sector from who I speak to. But there's definitely people still out there. It's just a little bit more challenging to get in front of those people that are actually invested and interested in going solar.
So the commercial rebate, is that just the tax incentive that they can use right now?
Yeah, so the tax incentive. I think it's the ITC.
Yeah, because the credit's not actually approved yet.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I thought it was for some reason, but yeah, fair enough. That makes sense.
I think there's still kind of passing law. I know the tax incentive is, but that 30%, like 20 to 30% credit, I think is still,
okay.
if I'm not mistaken, but
still in the works. I read about it about a month ago, and it seemed like it was quite close, very close. But yeah, I guess it's still kind of underway, and like the red tape kind of stuff.
Yeah.
When that does come out, I think knowing, like, I know the commercial space in Alberta pretty well. That is going to be something that I would be pushing kind of across the board, just to, like, no matter where you are, people are going to want more information about rebates, incentives, just to make it more financially viable. I think just making sure that all that information is current and up to date on your website goes a long way in generating trust that you're putting the best information forward and that kind of stuff, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, for the residential, I think it's very similar to like what I was saying with Brianna. The organic side of things can work. The lawn signs are quite effective. If you put like a QR code on that sign, people can scan it with their phones and book in a call right away. I've seen that work quite well. Just like straight to a booking page, they fill out their information and then they're a lead. You can set up tracking as well with that QR code to track, how many people are actually using that QR code and booking through those signs to just see if it's being effective, right? One thing I always try and stress with my clients and anyone that is thinking about marketing is you need to track everything you can, because that's really what shows you what's working and what to double down on, rather than doing the stuff that doesn't work. If you don't know, you're guessing, and that's not a great position to be in, right?
Yeah, that's really good advice. When you said the QR code, Ben, were you saying that where should that go on
on the launch sign itself? So when it's nice and visible, it's got your brand name, get in touch to save money on how, whatever kind of the main objective message is for your area. Kind of hit that, and then book your free call, book your free estimate, quote, whatever you want, and they can scan that QR code and book in right away.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, that is quite effective, and it's pretty low cost as well. But what you want to really do is set tracking up behind that QR code. I believe there's a bit of a technical analytical term called UTM trackers would be the way to do that. It just basically gives Google Analytics more information about how someone found your digital asset online, right? So UTM, bit more technical, but if you did want to track, that would be the way to go.
Okay, yeah, I know that we have a QR code and we are subscribed annually to it, and you can track it through their site.
Oh, perfect.
So
cool.
We don't have it on many things. We need to get it up on more stuff, but
yeah, definitely. It's one of them things. It's just trying to find how interested people about solar would run into your brand, whether that's online or offline. There's so many different ways to do that, but yeah, it's a pretty easy, low cost setup. And if you're installing in a really trafficked area, you can put it on a main street. People would see it. People start seeing your name everywhere, and then that can lead to conversions as well, brand recognition.
Great.
Perfect. Any other questions? I guess it's just us. Any other questions at all about anything marketing?
I don't think so. I think that actually helped explain a few things, so I can go from there.
Yeah, I feel pretty good. How do you feel about YouTube videos and having those be posted to, I have a lot of experience with YouTube and all of that. So one thing that I was considering doing is having that be going through, just pretty much every post that we do, and post to our Facebook page, which I pretty much generate from ChatGPT. And then I customize it from ChatGPT. And then I want to take that into create a short video form. And then create a YouTube channel, kind of have that all going together. But I also don't want to waste a lot of time. I guess that the biggest goal for us right now is just to build a reputation and just build some trust, since we are new, and make it look like, we have a lot going. So I don't know if that kind of makes sense, but just to does it seem like having YouTube videos benefits anything?
Yeah, so YouTube is it's the second biggest search engine online. It's once again owned by Google. So it can work really well. YouTube is all about consistency, very much. You want to set a regular schedule of we post at 9 a.m. Wednesday. You can post multiple times a week, but consistency is more important, the most important thing I guess, also quality content. What I like to do with my clients is create video, and then you can repurpose that video, right? That video can be posted onto social. You can transcribe the video. That can be a blog post. That can be social posts. It can be a podcast. There's so many different ways to utilize video content that work right across the board, right? I think video moving forward for marketing is going to be one of the most powerful things when done right. I don't think it's ever going to be a waste. It's just when you're creating content, make sure you're talking about, what interests people. Like, what are the main selling points for solar? What are the main questions people have? What are the main myths and misconceptions? I know in Canada we have a lot about winter, so I'm constantly writing, solar panels in Edmonton in winter and stuff like that, right? A lot of misconceptions. So it's about educating and getting people to trust your brand as well, right?
Right. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
No worries at all. Yeah, I think video moving forward is going to be one of the most powerful ways to create one piece of content and then just have that syndicated across socials, your website, everywhere. And then once again, track as well, track everything. So, hey, YouTube's bringing us in 10 leads per month. Facebook's bringing us in 20. So this strategy combined is bringing us in X amount of leads. And then you can make a lot more decisions with that hard data. I wouldn't focus too much on, clicks and, impressions and all this kind of stuff. Focus on the leads. Focus on where the money is, right?
Awesome.
Yeah. Hi, Cameron. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Hey, Ben.
Hi, Cameron. How are you today?
Came in a little late. Good. Yeah. So when you guys were talking about the leads in terms of Facebook and YouTube, are you talking more so on the ad side?
I've touched on the ads. Brianna's running the organic side of things, the organic social, to kind of get a bit of brand recognition for the social profiles before touching on the ads. Facebook ads do work. They are a little bit. So Facebook ads is kind of reaching people when they're not really looking for solar. They're looking at dog videos, cat videos, talking to their family, and then they see an ad for solar. That's the mindset of the people you're attracting on Facebook. So it can work. I definitely sell solar systems on Facebook for clients for sure. It works, but they're typically colder leads. They're typically a bit more of a sell because they're not really interested. Sure, you do get those people that are ready to go. But compared to Google ads, when someone's going to a search engine and typing solar company in location, for example, there's much more intent behind that search. So Google ads will be higher quality, but you'll pay a little bit more for that higher quality as well.
I agree. I guess with the thing with honestly any kind of online ad lead generation that we've experienced was that of course, exactly what you said, it is a lot more of a harder sell. Not in terms of Facebook ads, most of the leads that we got, they were down for solar. They were either they were interested, or they heard it from a friend and they just want to inquire and ask about it more. Selling them really wasn't an issue. I think the main hard part was the close, getting a good quality very good quality set where they're bought in within your company. So I guess it is on the value building of your company as opposed to other companies, because what we experienced was that they all the homeowners just wanted to quote shop, and you know what, so that just wastes a lot of time for our closers. And at a setting point, it is it's kind of hard to you can build so much value on your company but to and you know, guiding the customer along the process for the appointment, like it really was not a problem. But getting them to pick your company versus and not really like seek into like just quote shopping with like other companies was bit more of a problem. But then you know what, maybe that's just it just says something about, you know, our company and how we just have to kind of innovate and provide a better value product compared to everyone else.
Yeah, I think that brand recognition is so important in generating trust. And when you compare that to your competitors, the one thing I always like to say to clients is like, how are you standing apart in the market? Like, why should someone choose you over your competitors? And, you know, a lot of companies will use like the line with like making solar simple, making, you know, solar just trusted solar installations and stuff like that. And that's very easy to, that's a very low bar of entry, right? Whereas if you've got some unique selling points, you've been around for like 20 years, not many companies have been around for 20 years. If you donate money to like food bank or charity, not many companies donate money. So there's different ways to stand out and different ways to attract your ideal customer. It just kind of depends exactly who you're trying to speak to and how you market around that to stand apart from the competition. Because in the end, people will quote shop, and yeah, you need to kind of show them why they should trust you over every other solar company out there, which is easier said than done. Don't get me wrong.
Definitely. Was there anything that was kind of covered earlier that I missed out on? Like I mean, I came like 25 minutes a little late.
So we talked about lawn signs and having QR codes for people to book directly into an appointment. That does work, especially starting out. The commercial side, you know, if you're tracking commercials, the commercial rebate in Alberta is kind of like underway, but it's not really out yet. But then the Greener Homes grant in Alberta is also sunsetted until next year. So it's just kind of talking about trying to keep a consistent lead flow, you know, when these rebates and incentives end, because they're a huge selling point for solar, no matter where we live, right?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, so I did make the point, if you're going to, like, one thing I always do when I'm content marketing for a solar company is talk about incentives and rebates in an area. If you're going to go down that road, if something changes, you need to go back and edit it and update it, because a lot of companies are still talking about, like, you know, come get the Greener Homes and all that, and it's not live yet. It's not possible. So it's misleading information, and it's going to hurt the brand recognition and trust, right? If someone's like, I can still get it, and then they contact you and then they can't get it, it's like you basically lied to them in a way, right? So if you are going to go down that route, just make sure everything's up to date and factual. Awesome.
And then I caught just like the very end or the tip of like you guys talking about the organic growth of the brand. Was there anything that you guys kind of like covered that I don't know, was really valuable?
I think just putting yourself in your customer's shoes helps a lot. You know, what kind of common questions do they have? What kind of misconceptions is the community believing in or trying to resolve? Like, what questions are they actually hung up on when it comes to installing solar? I think that's a great place to start, because it's about educating, right? And outside of, you know, your what's called money pages, the pages that convert really well, you really want to make sure that you're educating customers. And the idea is to be consistent and show up. and people are going to learn from you and consume your content and start to trust you as the go-to solar provider in their area. So when they're ready for solar, they know who to contact. That's kind of the organic play. It's definitely a long burn, but once you kind of get it set up, then it's a really kind of easier thing to maintain. Does that make sense?
Oh no, for sure. Like you're essentially setting up your digital assets, right? Like and those will always be there for you to have like content on the web for, right? Like it's just kind of like a initial time investment and monetary investment, right? Depending on how much you want to invest into it. But yeah, I guess like in terms like the short term, right? Because obviously it's like in the middle of the main season to really sell solar right now. In terms of like I guess just more for the ads, what were some like really good numbers that you have historically found? Maybe you, Michelle and Brianna, you guys could both chime in. I don't know if you guys have both done ads too, but just in terms of like cost per lead, like lead conversions to like to book appointments to close deals. Yeah, just trying to find like a good benchmark to kind of to work off of and
For Facebook ads in Canada, I'd be definitely targeting $15 to $20, somewhere around there. I have ran campaigns that had a cost per lead of like $9, which is kind of crazy how good that one ran, but it all depends on your location, how many other advertisers are running ads for that location, but then it also kind of ties back into how well your company can sell itself, right? Like, how do you stand apart? If you're brand new, you've got no unique servicing positions. It's the potential customer is going to look at your company and not trust another company more, right? In that case, you'll get a lot more impressions, but you won't get as many clicks and conversions from that ad. So the cost per lead will go up. So it does all start from kind of like branding your company. But for Canada, $15 to $20 is pretty solid. I do see about $19 on average, I'd say. It does get up to about 25 for like the Ottawas and the Vancouvers, though. The more Calgary a little bit as well now. Calgary is getting quite competitive, but the bigger cities seem to be a bit more competitive in general, right?
Mm-hmm. Do you mainly focus on like Calgary, Edmonton, then, or you're like what kind of areas are you servicing?
I'm based in Edmonton, so I've worked with companies all around Canada, but I do internationally. I do globally.
So, oh wow, interesting.
Yeah, cool. The strategy is pretty much the same for the most part. You've got to brand your company. You've got to put those unique selling positions, what separates you from the competitors, front and center. And yeah, it's obviously the wording, like the wording will change, the rebate information will change, the common questions people have will change depending on your specific location. And that comes down to like municipality level, state level, and obviously federal level, in what information people are really searching for. But yeah, globally.
Interesting. And so I guess, yeah, like what kind of have there been any particular trends that you found to like really, really work just like across I mean maybe more so specifically in like Calgary and Edmonton, but maybe some that just like also transcend across like globally as well, like across Canada, across the world?
Yeah, I think a lot of solar companies get it wrong when they craft their website and their online assets for what they think is best rather than what their customers are looking for. The customers really want to see like who to trust. Why should they trust you? So that information being front and center is going to do, that's really the building blocks. If you get that wrong, you're going to have a hard time kind of marketing, running ads and stuff like that, because you don't stand out. You don't generate that trust. So finding different ways to do that is definitely one of the major points of running a successful marketing campaign. I think what Brianna said before about creating YouTube, I think video is going to be huge. I think in the next probably 1 to 3 years, I think video is going to become even more crucial. And you can syndicate that content, right? You can repost it, you can transcribe it, post it as blog posts. So it's very easy to create a lot of content with minimal effort, I would say. And it's unique content, right? Everyone's using AI now. Everyone's getting blog posts written by AI, and then manual editing as well. But no one else can, like, if you recorded yourself answering questions, then you transcribe those questions. No one else is doing that, right? Then you've got video, you've got blog posts, you've got a whole bunch of stuff that you can kind of take and, put all over your digital assets to really generate that trust.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool. Ben, is this session just more of a kind of like Q&A, or how did you kind of want to like structure I guess maybe the direction of the conversation for this meeting, or did you have like kind of like a skeleton?
So basically, this is the first AMA call. I wanted to just put it on there and just jump on, see what questions everyone had, and these are the kind of questions I was expecting. Depending on kind of what people would find more valuable, I can keep doing this structure with just, open floor. If you want to come on, ask whatever questions you want, feel free. Or I could put together a short presentation, like a 10 minutes, bunch of slides, and be like, hey, this is what I'm seeing work. These are the results. You can do that, and then we can open up for Q&A after. Just wanted to kind of jump on the first call, keep it kind of flexible, see what everyone thought about moving forward. I do plan to hold these every Wednesday. So hopefully, as more people get aware of them and jump on the calls, we should be able to get a bit of a core kind of group to kind of come on here and continually asking questions. And I plan on posting this around to promote the group as well.
Mm-hmm. Nice. And do you mind just giving like a quick elevator pitch of like what you do, Ben?
Yeah, sure. So I basically do marketing for solar companies all around the world. I'm a qualified electrician of 15 years myself. I only work with solar companies, and I track leads and results, so like revenue. A lot of SEO agencies will stop their reporting and their tracking at clicks and impressions coming from Google. I take it one step further, show you actually how your website's converting those leads with conversion tracking software. And yeah, I do SEO, Google Ads, Facebook ads. I do offer free website redesigns for any SEO client that comes on board. And yeah, basically just looking to help solar companies generate more leads consistently, exclusive leads consistently.
Cool. And I guess with that, do you have like a select number of companies that you service within each area? Because obviously, if you're doing it for multiple companies in Calgary or Edmonton, then that's just going to be conflict of interest, and you're going to literally be competing with like different brands on growth and how much of the market you could capture with each brand, right?
Yeah, definitely. So I do like to limit it. If I'm running Facebook ads for one client, I'm fine to do like the SEO and the Google ads for another client, right? Because if you're not on the same platform, you don't have a chance of like that lead coming through. In saying that, I do get the idea of exclusivity, and I do offer it. I'm very transparent with people I do work with. But if I'm already doing that, I will let you know that, hey, I have a client. But the one thing that I always kind of say is like, hey, let's say you're in Edmonton. Like, if I ranked you two like the two clients of mine, 1 and 2, or you guys were getting consistent leads, getting consistent ROI, then in my mind, like it helps me get ROI faster because I'm seeing what's working on 2 different levels. So if you guys are still getting 1 and 2, then in my mind, that's still a win. Obviously, people would disagree with that. That's definitely a bit of a personal preference. As long as you're transparent about it, I think that's the main thing. But no other marketing medium or Facebook ads, multiple people from Calgary can run and compete against the same ads and all that kind of stuff. So Facebook doesn't allow exclusivity. Google doesn't allow exclusivity. So there is an argument for both ways. But when it comes down to it, it's just transparency. It's just being honest. And if you choose to go a different route, that's totally fine with your solar company.
Wait, sorry, can you repeat the part where you said Facebook doesn't allow exclusivity? Like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, sure. Look, Facebook allows as many solar companies to run ads on their platform. Google, same. Pretty much every advertising platform will allow multiple people to compete against each other, right? So that's kind of what I mean by that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. So then I guess like how does say like all these solar companies, they run ads. How does Facebook prioritize like which ones show up on people's feeds, and like do they spread it apart? Do you happen to know like what kind of the I don't know the what that's like?
Yeah, so they have a quality score, and they have an algorithm in the back end, and it's really, if your ad is healthy, it's getting clicks, it's getting conversions, it's getting people actually interested, and that's going to help everyone, right? So you're spending money on Facebook, which is ultimately what they want, but they want to make sure that their ads they're providing to people are getting clicked, and actually converting. So it's a bit of a health score around, just making sure the content is factual, enticing to people, but it's not misleading, or, Google won't allow like exclamation marks, for example, because it kind of gets a bit of urgency, like a false sense of urgency. So there's definitely scores around quality of ad content. And as long as you're kind of following all the guidelines, there's different ways you can kind of like pitch people your offer, if that makes sense. Like Facebook will have algorithms in the background just to make sure that it's quality ads. It's like a quality score.
Mm-hmm. And what have you found personally, like what kind of ads just performed better than others? And like what did you like do to them? What did you add?
Yeah, fair enough. So what I like to do is really push the unique servicing positionings of what separates the client from every other competitor. If it makes sense, right? So like, for example, if you've been like in solar for 20 years, that is a crucial part to put front and center. And then on Facebook ads, you've got multiple headline options. So you can kind of A to B test as you go. That has its own issues, definitely. There's typically ad bias. Like Facebook will prioritize one ad, so you don't really get to test them, but you can kind of see what people are interacting with, right? So always be testing. Always test different call to actions, different headlines, different text, different images, everything, right? But do it in a way that you change one thing at a time, so you can kind of compare. Say if you change just the image or just the text on the image, you can be like, oh, image version 2 is performing much better than image version 1. We're going to start with that and then optimize further from that. But talking about specific wording, a lot of agencies will run ads like free solar, like get free solar today, free solar in location, and that's fantastic for leads. like your lead cost per lead is going to be so small, but then when you actually get on the phone with that person, they're not going to sell because they're expecting free solar, right? So don't be misleading in the ads. It's not going to help anything on the bottom line. That's quite general. It would take me quite a bit of time to kind of go through, everything that I see individually. Maybe that's in the future. I could put some slides together for, Facebook ads best practices, and find a bunch of ads and just kind of break them down of what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, as a best practice scenario. Would that be helpful?
That would be so helpful. Yeah, that
Okay.
would be super helpful.
Cool. Facebook ad. Sounds good. What I can do, what I'll book that in for next week, and just put together like a quick 10-15 minute some slides, and we can really just go over because the Facebook ad library has every ad that's ever run on Facebook. So I can kind of jump on there and screenshot some companies' ads and be like, this sucks because of this reason. This is a really strong ad, what they're doing here. And yeah, we could just cover that. I think it seems like Facebook ads is definitely one of the kind of common questions for the first call. So I can definitely focus on that a bit more going forward. Does that sound good, Cameron?
Yeah, no, that'd be awesome. If you could put together like I don't know, Google Meets and like or a calendar invite, and then just like invite us for like a recurring meeting, that would also be really good. Just like so we kind of remember.
Yeah, sounds good. I am looking into kind of all that kind of stuff. I don't know if I want to chuck this to Zoom or whatever, to just make it as easy for people to be aware that it's on and attend.
Yeah. I think having it, or if you just do like a calendar invite, then you could also just change whatever link you want to use, right? Like Zoom or like I don't know, Skype or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. Sounds good. I will look at that. I wanted to kind of have this call and just make sure there was interest in this before I start sending invites and making the process a bit more complicated. But considering this is it's been a great call. I'm looking forward to kind of continuing this and putting together some real information moving forward.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks,
Awesome.
man.
No worries at all.
I did have another question. So, with the whole A/B testing, yes, on the individual, it isn't really important to know what is sticking with like certain ads, right? And like what changes are being made, and then the associated, I guess, impressions that are changing. At the very beginning of it, do you recommend just like throwing out like a bunch of different ads and then seeing which one sticks the most and then A/B testing that? Just because like otherwise like you're not going to really know what form of content is going to stick the best.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
So what I found works the best is on Facebook is what I call the 3-2-2 kind of structure: 3 image creatives, 2 headlines, and 2 primary texts, and make them very different. So the 3 image ads, probably keep them your brand colors because you want to create that brand, but different messages, different visuals, different feel, completely different. So then you see what image performs the best. Be careful of ad bias. Sometimes Facebook will just take the first image and just run with that and give all the budget to the first image. So you kind of have to be aware that Facebook has that ad bias kind of built into it, which can be a bit frustrating. But then 2 primary texts, 2 headlines, and just see what works the best, and call the user out. Like if you're targeting homeowners in Edmonton, and be like front and center, be like, homeowners in Edmonton save money on rising energy costs, or save money on power, that kind of stuff, right? Actually call those people out specifically, and then try that in different ways. Definitely make the initial campaign as varied as possible. So you can kind of start seeing what people click on, people interact with, and ultimately what they convert best on. And those A/B tests can be as simple as one word change. I've seen in campaigns, have had a decent conversion rate, and then by changing one word, it doubled. The conversion rate just doubled out of nowhere. So it's very specific wording, but you're not going to know that until you get to a point where your campaign is profitable, and then you're able to A/B test, the language, the visuals, the content, that kind of stuff.
Interesting. And I guess like within the forms of the ad, which ones have you found to perform like the best? In terms of like video ads, like carousel, single image. Yeah.
I'm not a fan of carousel. I'm sure people would disagree with that. Video ads are good. Obviously they're much more time consuming and costly to make. They typically have a higher cost per lead, surprisingly, because not many people want to watch a video, whereas just reply to an image-based ad. But the leads you get from video seem to be a little bit pre-qualified because they've watched the video, they're a little bit more invested than just clicking an image ad and entering their information, right?
Yeah, so that's interesting why you said the carousel wouldn't work because I mean essentially, right, with the carousel would be able to provide a bit more information, right? So then thus it's kind of like a mix between like the single ad or the single image and then the video, right?
Yeah.
Whereas like people can just like kind of like scroll, like read and scroll, but then also it's like so they don't have to like stay and watch the video. They don't like the content, the visual content. But then the carousel will still provide, information and help pre-qualify the lead.
True. And like carousel they do work. What I like to do is single image ads and then add 3 image ads. I think if you turn dynamic creatives on, Facebook allow you to upload multiple images, but will only show 1 image per ad impression. So you get to A to B test the image ads, but I think from what I understand with carousel, people just seem to scroll and it's just like, it's a bit too much information. It's a bit too noisy, especially because they're not invested in, they're not really looking for solar before seeing your ad. So if you make it easy, the image ads are the kind of the lowest bar of entry. Whereas if they've got more information, I find that it's a bit too much information for them to take in, if that makes sense, compared to single image ads. That's direct comparison there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And definitely trial it. Definitely, it's another A to B test. Put the same images in a single image ad versus a carousel and all the same information and see what works best. I haven't found it work better than single image ads, but yeah, who knows, right? Like you might have a specific angle that works really, really well. So definitely test.
Okay. And just I don't know if you personally track this, but did you, like with all the companies that you worked with, do you track like the percentage of leads that converted into actual closes with like the companies that you with the companies, and then kind of derived a rough like cost per acquisition?
I like to. Some companies I work with are a little bit more hesitant to give me actual sales data, so we kind of go off like ballpark figures. I do track, so Facebook will give you like, oh, you generated X amount of results, like Facebook ad results they call it, which is leads. And then if they visit the website, which are like a landing page, I can track exactly how many leads that page generated, which is conversion tracking. I can put together a whole presentation on conversion tracking, what's form and call tracking to really measure the effectiveness of a marketing campaign. That is a whole other kind of discussion though. But I do that. So I have lead data. Like for example, I jump on a call with a client and be like, hey, I'm seeing that the solar residential page generated 10 leads. 5 of them came from Facebook ads, 5 of them came from SEO. And then we kind of have a discussion of like which ones sold, which ones were quality, which ones were just terrible. And then we adjust our strategy from there to kind of suit lead quality. But for specific data, a lot of clients I like to get access to CRM data if I can, so I can just see directly, like, oh, this one closed, fantastic. We can do more of that. Vice versa, if it's not good quality, we can change as needed. But yeah, it all comes down to tracking on my end and whether the customer is willing to actually give hard, specific data.
I see. Yeah, because right now, like, I think we're just trying to like, because I mean that's really important, right? Like the marketing team's leads, and then the sets with the sales team and how good quality of the leads they are, and like how to kind of refine it. Do you do the setting as well, or do you just basically you bring them to a landing page and then they basically book an appointment from there?
Yeah,
or do you hop on the call and then like book the appointment for them?
Not right now, no. And the reason for that is, I work with companies all around the world. The typical sales, the sales funnel and like the sales process does vary. It is something I've thought about doing in the past, and to make it a standardized process would be kind of difficult, seeing internationally. But what I always recommend doing is setting up the forms to ask some pre-qualification questions, just so you can prioritize the lead you contact first, whether the lead's going to be a good fit or not. I have one client that I have on the form, please upload your last energy bill. They upload that. They have their chance to upload images if they want of the panels. And just by that, if they upload one thing, you could kind of see that they're invested a lot more. And if you look at the energy bill and you see the energy graph and you're like, well, not going to be a good fit for X amount of reasons, you can either contact them, be like, hey, not a good fit, or refer them on, kind of thing. That does work quite well, but very specific kind of case scenarios for that, I would say. Yeah, I wouldn't be doing that right off the bat. You'll have too much friction in your landing pages.
Yeah. Do you know roughly how many of your leads converted into like booked appointments?
It's typically somewhere around it's been a while since I've talked to my international clients, or my UK clients, sorry, but somewhere around the 5 to 12%. I have one client that's converting it about a 20%, which is kind of the data suggests that he says he is, and it's like I can't kind of find a reason why he's not, but that's incredibly high. So yeah, I think he just kind of cherry picks what leads he wants, to be honest. With that form kind of submission process, you get a lot more information. You get really high quality leads, so he's able to call and have a really, really high conversion rate, but that is a very much an outlier situation.
Yeah, I would assume that kind of comes at the expense of a higher cost per lead then, right? Because if you're the more you qualify, right, for the more each lead is more qualified, typically the less or the higher cost per lead. So yeah, I think right now it's kind of like find the balance of that, on like how much to include, right? How much like should we get the utility bill on the phone, or should we get the utility bill beforehand? But then if we ask for the utility bill, then it's going to be a bit of a trust factor, right? Like how much would we experience like a drop off in the number of conversions, right, or the number of leads because we asked for the utility bill in the form.
Yeah, it definitely. It's a very rare situation that I would put like ask for an actual form. I ask for them to upload something into a form because they're probably more than likely going to leave the website and likely not come back because people are busy. With this campaign, if you get really, really targeted and interested leads, you've got great branding. Your website basically sells itself. People that are invested, and like this company I've worked with for over 2 years, they've got great SEO. They get leads from Google Ads, Facebook ads. They've got a lot of leads coming in, right? So I'm sure they miss out on jobs, definitely, but they're happy where they are. They're happy with the amount of leads and their conversions. So instead of trying to sell lower quality leads, they just focus on the ones that they know they've got a really good chance at closing. It's definitely a different strategy. It's you require a lot of traffic, a lot of leads, and a decent amount of budget too. Not going to lie, with that to make that work and make it viable. But it cuts down a lot of the noise, I see.
Yeah. What do you think is a good budget to allocate for to select X amount of leads? Because right now it's like, like I know these are like really detailed questions. Right now we're just trying to kind of build out our program a bit more and refine it. So I'm just like really curious on a lot of these numbers, on what to expect.
Yeah, sounds good. Like specifically Facebook or Google Ads or both, or
I guess maybe like both. Have you tried YouTube?
I have personally for my website, for my marketing agency. I find that there's not that much intent there. I find that people are just watching videos. I find organic YouTube is a great place to start, not necessarily ads though.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So then Google, I guess like with Facebook and Google ads then, what would be like a good budget to allocate for per month, and then number of leads that you end up getting?
Yeah, sounds good. So for Google Ads, I typically see about a $30 to $38 cost per lead, and that's with a budget of ad spend only. About 1,200 minimum is what I'd kind of suggest starting with. I have seen like clients drop multiple thousands and get great results, but definitely probably around the 1,500 mark is a good starting point. And then Facebook ads, you can go a little bit lower. You could probably go to the 1,000 maybe at lowest. But if you're not getting the ads, if you're not getting the leads from the ads, you might be choking the campaign. If you're not really getting impressions and clicks, it will take Google and Facebook a bit of time to really narrow down that audience, right?
Yeah.
So it definitely depends on how you structure your ads as well. So on Facebook ads, you can do interest-based ads, which is a very short time to actually start generating the leads, or you can do broad ads, which basically targets everyone in, say if you were targeting all of Edmonton, it would target all of Edmonton in your age range, versus interest-based. So like they're already interested in solar in some way. But you've got to be really careful of choking the campaign out, like with budget or not enough audience size. There's a kind of a lot to kind of consider there, but I would definitely say, start around the 1,000 maybe. 1,200 would probably be a pretty good spot to start at.
This is per month?
Yeah. So
per month.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what kind of, I guess, like number of leads would you kind of expect with that? They would be what, 1,200 divided by 20 to get like what, 60 leads?
Something like that. That's really where we want to get a campaign to when it's optimized. You might be looking at a little bit higher than that to get started, depending on a whole bunch of factors.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely something that you want to work towards those numbers. But to start out, you might be somewhere around the $30 cost per lead.
Yeah.
And then as you A/B test, as you hone in on your specific audience, that should gradually decrease to around the $22 mark, somewhere around there. Maybe a little bit cheaper, but yeah, around that area is what you want to kind of aim for.
I see. So yeah, because my thing with that, right, is like just like quickly running the numbers on that. If you're spending $1,200 per month on Facebook ads, and based on your experience, you got about a 10% lead to appointment ratio, right? Then you're gonna get about 10% lead ratio. Then all right, sorry. If each lead costs about $20, you're going to give about 60 leads, right? And then if 10% of that books into an appointment, right, then that's 6 appointments. But then if the number of sales, say if you get like 1 sale per 6 booked appointments, then you're just going to get a 1 sale for $1,200. So essentially the cost per acquisition is going to be $1,200.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Does that math kind of check out?
Yeah, it does. Like that is I'm always extremely conservative when I'm talking about numbers. With those 1,200, you should be getting probably around the 60 to 70 leads to start, I would suggest. And then optimize from there. As Facebook algorithm kind of figures out exactly what a conversion looks like, as you train that Facebook pixel in really understanding, this is a good lead, and there's ways you can optimize your ads to give that pixel more information. You can ask like a conditional question on your form, like, are you interested in solar? Do you own a property in Calgary? And whenever people click no, Facebook's going to attribute that as not a good lead, and it's going to optimize your pixel more, which is going to drive your cost per lead down. For ads directly, like so when I said about a 10% conversion, I was talking about like traffic in general. A lot of people visit client sites that are just looking for information. So that 10% is more as a website conversion percentage as a whole, rather than people looking directly for ads. Typically with ads, you're going to want, if the leads are quality, from 60 leads, you'd be hard pressed if you weren't getting like 15 appointments from that, I would say. Because people are giving you that information, they're in a buying mindset. Once again, just general numbers. But really you want to get that cost per acquisition down. Yeah, you don't want it 1,200. Obviously, you want it to be maybe like a quarter of that would be a decent place to start. And then obviously optimize that as you go. So from Facebook ads, I don't have specific data that I don't have that data from a CRM with Facebook ads. But from Google ads, we typically see about a 30 to 35% of leads that come through the website actually, give information, give more data, whether or not they actually sit for an appointment and move forward, become a sale. That's a different aspect, but you're really looking at about a 30% close rate or 30% lead appointment rate from Google ads, because there's much more intent there, right? But you still really want to be 15-20% with your Facebook ads as well, depending on your targeting and all that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does. You said a 30 to 30% lead to appointment rate on Google ads?
Yes, that's what we aim for. Starting out, once again, can be a little bit bumpy, it can be a little bit rocky, but you really want to, because I like to pre-qualify them as well. With like, I send them to a landing page where they can enter in their information. There's a bit more friction. So your cost per lead is going to be a bit higher, but it's going to be more quality leads. I typically ask them, like, do you have a subboard? Do you have what's your panel rated at? Like, stuff like that, depending on what the actual customer wants and what a verified lead looks like for their sales process. You can dive in to that to qualify the leads, which then, yeah, your cost per lead goes up, but you're not wasting time talking to people that aren't interested, right?
Definitely. What kind of good qualifying questions would you ask, like, in your I guess in your landing page, and how many questions would you ask?
Yeah, it definitely differs from client to client with a number of questions. Some clients would like to know just an average bill to kind of get a bit of a ballpark figure if it's a good lead before, they ask for the actual energy bill. That can work. I'm not a huge fan of that. If you do residential commercial, if you do both and you're taking them to a general solar page, I like to ask, is it residential or commercial? Is it homeowner, business owner? So you can kind of differentiate that a bit. But if you're putting them to, a residential installation page, you shouldn't be getting any commercial. So it kind of depends on that front. I like to ask the age of shingles, just to kind of get a bit of an idea about their roof quality. You can also ask stuff like what direction your roof is facing. I'm not a huge fan of that question either. Have seen it work, but it's kind of specific to your sales process in that size. Yeah, and then obviously multiple ways to contact them: phone number, email for sure, full name and address of the property. So you can look into, you can actually look in Google Maps, obviously, and kind of make sure it's an actual legit building. Yeah, as far as any more qualification questions go, I do like to ask the client directly, like, hey, is there anything else you'd like to know? I have general electrician clients that have like drop-down menus of like, oh, we do EV chargers and residential solar panel upgrades, that kind of stuff, that you can ask for a bit more information if what service they're after. But yeah, you can also ask if they've got aircon, hot tub, EV chargers installed. Yeah, kind of basically like that. I do ask them directly, are you the homeowner or the property owner as well? That can help. Just making sure you're getting right quality, like the high quality leads, right? And not wasting your sales team's time.
In terms of the utility bill, like, because you ask for the average bill, right? But then there's also a number of other factors whether you qualify them, right? Like cost of their what they're getting per watt, and then how much watts they are like literally consuming as well, right?
Yeah.
So just like based on getting the average bill number, does that really qualify them in any way? Like
it kind of like, I think it does in certain circumstances. Once again, it'll be definitely company and brand dependent. I have seen it work. It just kind of gives them a bit of an idea of like, oh, they're not just judging by like their roof space. Like we can see on their Google Maps, they've only got a small roof, but they've got EV chargers, hot tubs, and we're not going to have the space to offset their electricity to a financial meaningful point. I have seen stuff like that work. But it's not really a question I employ. No, unless the company really wants that information for, a bit of back-end information for their sales team to move forward with.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
Oh, right on.
Awesome.
Have you, Rihanna and Michelle, did you guys have any similar experiences with the old ads?
So actually, guys, I didn't want to interject, but I have to jump off now.
Yeah.
I have to jump off right now,
Okay.
but I want to thank you, Ben, and I will absolutely be back and making this a regular thing, and really appreciate this call. I found it super valuable. So I do have to get to a meeting though, so I will be back. I'll look out for what's next, and definitely plan on it next week to be here. So thank you.
Sounds great. Yeah, this call went a little bit longer than I expected, but yeah, I appreciate you jumping on, and yeah, talk to you next week.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Bye.
Yeah, you as well.
Yeah, I think that'd probably be a all right place to leave it for this week. And then I can kind of put together a bit more information, like direct information on Facebook ads, like what I see, best practices, and we can really dive into more so the numbers, because those numbers we were talking about before are quite general. I can give you more reliable information, crunch the numbers a bit more of what I'm seeing currently next week. Sound good?
Yeah, no, that sounds great.
Perfect.
Thanks a lot, Ben, for everything. Yeah, no, this was really great.
Yeah, sounds good. I appreciate you guys jumping on and like all the questions, because it was really, really good to kind of see how the conversation progressed. It gives me a lot of information of where I think this would be a great fit to go to in the direction of these calls. So I do appreciate it as well, Cameron and Mikkel. So yeah, unless there's anything else, let's we'll call it for the day, and yeah, book you next week kind of thing.
Yeah, thanks, bud.
No worries at all.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Ben. And Ben, just like out of curiosity, like what do you like for these calls? I mean, I guess you're kind of gaining information on what your potential clients would be looking for, or what kind of problems they have, right? So that's kind of intel on your end. And then are you trying to like take on more clients, like for because just your marketing consultancy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm
the main, yeah.
For these calls, I don't plan on pitching or selling. I think sell the companies get sold enough to. In all honesty, I'm just looking to kind of maybe create a community around more informational based content. And I mean, if more clients come from it, fantastic. But I don't think it's the goal of these calls at all.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Okay. Well, yeah. Thanks a lot, Ben.
Awesome. Sounds good. I'll speak to you guys next week. If there's any suggestions or anything, you guys can reach out to me through socials and stuff like that. I'm like, hey, this would be kind of cool to cover, and we can take it from there.
Yeah, sounds good.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right.
Take care, guys. Have a great week.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. You too.